Welcome to Unit 4, Video 5. The topic of this unit is the Punic Wars. The Punic Wars are going to be a war fought between Rome and a city turned empire named Carthage in northern Africa. So we're going to talk about the history of this war, the three major battles of this war, and the outcomes of this war. Roman power grows. Roman power grew slowly and steadily. Eventually, Rome had conquered all of Italy. So this is still the Roman Republic at this point. The Roman Republic started just as the city of Rome with a king who led, and then it's going to spread all throughout the Italian peninsula. Rome was lenient to the people they conquered, meaning they were kind to them in a sense. They allowed them to keep some things. They weren't very strict with them. So they were allowed to be full citizens if they lived on the Tiber River. Those who lived further away had citizenship but could not vote. The reason for this was simply a matter of convenience. Those who lived on the Tiber had easy access to Rome, and so therefore they were able to vote easier. Only Rome was the place that people could vote. That was the only location. So people had to travel in order to vote. Much easier to travel on a river than it is on land. Therefore, those who had access to the Tiber were considered full citizens. Those who lived further away and didn't really have access to Rome were considered citizens, but did not have the right to vote. Carthage is going to start out as the area where the Phoenicians colonized, the northern coast of Africa. Remember the Phoenicians from the first unit this year. They're the ones who were the sea traders, created the first alphabet, had that purple dye. Well, the Phoenicians are going to colonize the northern coast of Africa. And according to the historian Virgil, Carthage was founded in 814 BC. And so this is going to be a major city as a part of the Phoenicians' colonized regions. Carthage eventually controlled most of the North African coast and established colonies in southern Spain and several Mediterranean islands. So just as the city of Rome grew to encompass the entire Italian peninsula, the city of Carthage grew to encompass much of northern Africa and little spots in Spain and some Mediterranean islands as well. So on this map, everything in blue is Carthage, or the Carthaginian Empire. Carthage was a large and advanced city, and their empire was the strongest trading power in the western Mediterranean. They had a very good position for trade because they had access to everywhere in the Mediterranean. So that takes us to the Punic Wars. The Punic Wars are fought between Rome and Carthage. This is an overview of the Punic Wars here, and we will come back to this image of the battles and the route that was taken later on and in class as well. So the Punic Wars are split into three sections, the first, the second, and the third. We're going to go through each. In the first Punic War, which lasted from 264 to 241 BC, conflict over the islands of Sicily and Sardinia eventually led to war between Carthage and Rome. So Sicily is the island here, and Sardinia is the island here. Rome was expanding, as was Carthage at the same time. So as they were expanding, they both wanted more land. Rome wanted the lands of Sicily and Sardinia. It would give them an advantage in trade and in defense, having control of these Mediterranean islands. So this leads us to the First Punic Wars. The First Punic War is fought between Carthage and Rome over the islands. Rome wins the First Punic War. Carthage, in the end, is forced to give up its island colonies to Rome, and Carthage also had to pay Rome an annual tribute. Annual means yearly. Tribute, we're talking money. This is going to be the amount of 100 tons of silver, which is a significant amount. So every year, Carthage had to pay Rome money, and they had to give up their islands. This was the outcome of the First Punic War. So now you can see the pink here is Rome. Rome now controls the islands in the Mediterranean as well. But the purple here is still Carthage. So Carthage is still very large, even though they have lost the islands in the Mediterranean Sea. which takes us to the Second Punic War. The Second Punic War was fought between 218 and 202 BC. And this is where we see an individual by the name of Hannibal Barca, who is going to be a very influential individual. Hannibal wanted to get revenge on Rome. He was a young boy in the First Punic War, and he saw what happened. He was from Carthage, and he was very unhappy with the way that the First Punic War ended. So he, in 218 BC, is going to lead an army of 90,000 men through Spain to attack Italy from the north. His army included 10,000 cavalry and 100 war elephants. So taking a look here again, he's going to go from Carthage, he's going to go all the way around here through Spain, all the way up here north, through the Alps mountains, and into Italy. So he's taking the long route to get to Rome. A large part of Hannibal's army was made up of mercenaries. Mercenaries are foreign soldiers who serve in an army only for pay. So these are individuals who are paid to fight for whoever it is paying them. That is their only loyalty. So their loyalty varied depending on pay, the weather, and how successful the army was. So if it looked like they were probably going to die, they would likely just flee because they're just losing money. They don't really have a huge reason to fight other than the money. Hannibal is going to bring elephants with him. Now, this is going to originally be an advantage for the Carthaginians because elephants are native to Africa, but in Rome, they had never been seen before. So originally, this will be an advantage to actually have those elephants with him. So you see here, the green is the route that is taken. The route takes his army through the Alps. So they start down here in northern Africa, they go through Spain, all the way through Europe here, through the Alps mountains, and into Italy. Now you'll notice eventually they're going to make their way back through. Now, in terms of going through the Alps, Hannibal is believed to have said, "We will either find a way or make one." He was committed to making his way into Italy. Now, elephants and his soldiers from northern Africa were not really used to the type of weather that they encountered in the Alps. These are very tall mountains. It gets very, very cold, and there were edges, so a lot of horses died, a lot of elephants died, a lot of men died on this trip to try and get into Italy. Hannibal's army lost many men and elephants crossing the Alps, but they showed up behind the Roman army and caught them by surprise. So even though they lost a lot of resources on their way, elephants, horses, and men, they are still going to be able to catch Rome by surprise. Hannibal wins 3 major victories, defeating 3 larger Roman armies throughout the Italian peninsula. Hannibal showed he was good at deception and ambush tactics. So Rome's armies were being defeated for 2 major reasons. First, their leaders, who were not professional soldiers, got cocky and fell into Hannibal's traps. Basically, they thought they were the greatest, and so because of that, they fell for a lot of the traps that Hannibal set. Second, the armies were made up of citizen soldiers, not trained professionals. There was no standing trained army in Rome. And so a lot of these people were farmers, were merchants. They were not trained soldiers. So this is the major reason why Rome was losing these major battles in Italy, in the Italian peninsula. So Hannibal's army occupied most of Italy for the next 10 years, meaning Hannibal and his soldiers were able to defeat Rome again and again and again in small battles throughout the Italian peninsula for 10 years. But they were not strong enough to capture the city of Rome. Rome wasn't strong or stupid enough to attack Hannibal again. So Rome is just going to sit pretty and defend their city and hope that Hannibal runs out of resources or for whatever reason stops fighting. And this is going to work because it's going to give the chance for Rome's counterattack.